Okay, now then, let me find an old fan brush here. We put that Van Dyke brown in here, and it didn't show up much. Now watch what happens. I'll just take a little bit of titanium white on the fan brush, just a little. Now we go back up here, and we just barely touch. Barely touch. See, now that brown begins to show.
Every scientist needs a laboratory, a place to perform experiments.
The fun in painting is the experimenting, learning new things every day. If you paint for 1,000,000 years, the next painting is going to be your masterpiece. You'll always see something in your painting that you can improve.
Our favorite fuzzy hair technician put his paint to the test in a lot of places. Florida, Alaska, but mostly, Bob Ross took chances and got a little crazy in front of a bunch of TV cameras inside a makeshift studio in Indiana. The joy of painting was broadcast into millions of homes, and the duder in front of the camera didn't just attract us because of his talent. Bob Ross became famous because he felt like our friend.
Hey, my friends. Right. How you doing? How you doing? You got a fat tummy. Yes, you do.
Nowadays, you don't have to be an expert to get millions of eyeballs on your art. Feedback and fan correspondence don't come in the mail anymore. And one of the virtual spaces responsible for that, a lab where thousands of mad scientists live every day, a place for them to experiment and interact, is here.
Twitch is making some room for the growing number of non-gaming videos on its site. There are a lot of them. It's kind of like the creative content people, music, art, etc.
And it's kind of interesting to see Twitch come full circle from its Justin TV days when this variety of streaming sort of took root. I am actually really excited to watch some people cook on Twitch.
If you got a little twitch, you're ahead of the game right here.
It's very much about community. It's very much about people coming together, and it's sort of like an online kind of like hangout space.
Some people will play video games, or some people will stream themselves cooking. People can join in and watch, and if they want, they can communicate in chat, and they can cheer, and they can tip the streamer, and it's just a lot of fun.
And it turns out that Bob Ross and Twitch TV have been a happy little pairing for nearly a decade. It all started when the Amazon-owned streaming site expanded by launching Twitch Creative and presenting an all-episode marathon of The Joy of Painting.
And that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Watching these episodes, like a rewatch in 2015 on Twitch, you have to keep in mind, is probably the first time that people were able to interact while watching a Bob Ross episode. Unless your friend was literally sitting in your living room with you, you weren't texting them while watching Bob Ross in the 90s. You weren't probably sitting on the phone with them because your mom had to make a call. This was the first time people got to be like, oh, we all do love this person. We all have this shared connection. And that is what the Twitch community is about. You find other people that have a shared connection, a shared thing that you love, whether it's nerdy or not, and it makes the community and the love of it stronger.
Bob's debut during Twitch Creative's happy little launch attracted 5.6 million viewers. A community that eyeballed 550 million minutes of Bob Ross-inspired joy.
Bob Ross, even though obviously he passed long before Twitch was even thought of or social media was thought of, somehow he has all like the best practices of a Twitch streamer, not on Twitch. Like he is still talking to his audience and engaging with them and almost answering questions before they're even asked and bringing the audience in with him like they're literally on his stream. Yeah. So if you took Bob Ross today and put him on stream like real life, I think it would sound exactly the same. I think that's one of the reasons it works so well on Twitch.
So let's take a deeper dive into Bob's presence on Twitch TV. We'll introduce some of our Twitch friends to the joy of painting, and we'll even participate in a live Twitch stream with certified Ross instructor Jessie Mason and watch her paint Bob's trapper's cabin.
Sometimes I get carried away and maybe talk about the old trapper that lived in the woods, maybe fell in the river, just crazy things like that. But it gives you a reason for an old abandoned cabin being there or something like that. But make up little stories. I know, you're gonna say your friends and relatives will sort of laugh at you, stand around talking to yourself painting, but that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, hey, I'm just logging on to my Commodore 64 so I can tune into the Bob Ross Happy Little Weekend Marathon on Twitch TV. Then I'm going to play Archon and Boulder Dash. Oh, wait, it's on.
Hello, I'm Bob Ross.
and I'd like to welcome you to the 30th Joy of Painting series. If this is your first time with us, please allow me to extend a personal invitation for
Oh, you don't know about the Happy Little Weekend Marathon? Ever since Bob's Twitch TV debut made its big splash, the Bob Ross channel has grown to over 2 million joy-hungry followers. And they, and you, can tune in every Friday to catch back-to-back-to-back-to-back episodes of The Joy of Painting.
At first, it was just really like amazement. It was kind of like, wow, like a lot of people are tuning in right away to this thing. Thousands of people are turning this thing on right as it begins.
That's James Shapiro. He works for Jansen Media, and he's responsible, among other things, for curating the Bob Ross channel on Twitch.
The community aspect of Twitch is something that I've definitely learned over the years is very important. It's really important to engage with the community as opposed to just, all right, let's turn on a live stream, the technical aspects of doing that. It is about the show. It's about the person they're watching for sure. It's what brought them here in the first place. But it quickly evolves into a hangout space. It quickly evolves into a club. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of people that have a like interest come together to hang out on the weekends. And they talk about how their day is going, what they, if they went away last weekend or what they're doing, So it's as much as it is about the content, it's about the community as well. It's about the people that are there. I think Bob Ross attracts people from all walks of life. He's not only about teaching you how to paint, he's kind of teaching you about life.
Spend some time with nature. Go out and talk to a tree. Don't matter if people think you're crazy.
And James has even live-streamed on-site painting classes with Bob's certified Ross instructors at TwitchCon.
Every time, again, all walks of life, different kinds of people, those classes fill up so quickly.
So if we're gonna sit in on a Bob Ross painting live stream, we gotta prep proper. Gotta learn the language. Like for instance, there's cabin chants. What does it mean when someone types !cabin?
This right here is probably the most popular command because it's very interactive in a way where it's like, okay, what are the chances that Bob is going to make a cabin in this painting that he's currently on right now?
Tell you what, let's have some fun. I'm gonna put a little cabin back there, a little house. Wouldn't it be nice to live here and watch all the big Canadian geese come in?
And then there's Twitch's take on Bob's bravery tests.
So Bob will be creating a painting, and a lot of the times toward the end of the painting, especially when he's got this beautiful scene of a mountain, he's got all this great stuff in the background, he'll put the big tree. He'll say, all right, here we go. Here it's time to make the big tree.
No, you're saying, Bob, you've done it this time. Well, you really messed up a nice background.
A lot of people in the chat will react in that way by saying ruined, so there's also an emote for that. They'll say, oh no, ruined. And then, saved is also another one where, again, in another instance where, say, Bob's tapping in a lot of dark area, right? And they're like, oh, it's ruined because he's got like a big blotchy, it looks as if there's kind of like a big dark space there. And then he goes in and starts tapping in the highlights. And now it's saved. So now he has saved the painting.
Every time Bob beats the devil out of his brush on Twitch, you're bound to find the chat message, RIP Devil. I
believe this count started back when the Bob Ross Twitch channel was started. At this point, it looks like he's beaten the devil out of it now 124,428 times at this particular moment in time. So every time somebody uses that command, it just counts the amount of times that he beats the devil out of the brush. Very popular command to use.
Okay, clean your brush. Give it a nice scrub. And beat the devil out of it. Okay, now we can start playing back here.
Lots of players on Twitch have loyal followers. Not all of them are gamers or painters. Some Twitch personalities take what they did in their previous lives and bring it to their channel.
My name is Carla Marie, and I host the Carla Marie Anthony Show and the Morning Show podcast, and I'm based in Seattle, Washington.
Which would mean I am Anthony, the Anthony part of the Carla Marie Anthony Show, and also co-host of the Morning Show podcast, and also based here in Seattle, but originally from the great state of New Jersey.
Same.
Proud New Jersey natives Carla Marie and Anthony are friends of mine, former co-workers from the radio world. It was in that world that both them and I started doing our own podcasts. Then Carla Marie and Anthony got a chance to do their own morning show in Seattle. They packed up their junk and moved cross-country.
We saw an opportunity to actually stream our radio show onto Twitch. I am willing to say that we are the first radio morning show that did a live stream.
Maybe. The community does come first on Twitch. there are a lot of different metrics you can look at with all the different social media platforms, but Twitch is special in that people go to Twitch specifically for a creator.
And at home, take your time and just really get in here and play and put all these little things in. You'll be amazed at the kind of things that you can create in your world. Just let them happen. Let them happen.
We trained our audience to use Twitch. They were not a Twitch audience. They were a radio audience. And we learned with them because
I guess we trained each other, really.
we did. Like, they would use things in the chat and we're like, what is points? What do points do? What do you mean you just gifted a sub? Like, for the longest time, my family, when we would say someone gifted a sub, they truly thought people were buying sandwiches and sending them to us. And I was like, no, not
gifted subscription.
subscription.
It's kind of like when you're learning to paint, right? I would assume you start with fewer colors, fewer tools, specific type of canvas. And then as you get better there, you start to expand. You get a new brush or a new tool, different types of paint, and you start to experiment and figure out what your favorite medium is, what your favorite style is, and what your voice is. And that's what we've been doing now for, in some capacity, 7 years of live streaming.
Talking to these kids about their Twitch experience, you begin to better understand the parallels between what Bob dealt with on The Joy of Painting and what Twitchers deal with when they stream.
Things are going to go wrong, right? As much technology as we have today, it always somehow messes up. Sometimes microphones sound weird, or cameras just turn off for no reason, or some of these lights will just start flickering behind us. And you start to realize your community is there for you. They're going to be patient with you if something breaks and you need to fix it. And there are, the happy little accidents type theme where you go, you know what? I'm not going to panic. I'm going to handle it. Sometimes things go wrong. You make the best of the situation. You can laugh at yourself a little bit.
And as you know, if you've painted with me before, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
So now that these two have taught us more about Twitch, how can we teach them more about Bob Ross?
I was very much aware of Bob Ross as a kid. I vaguely remembering my grandpa commenting on how, this guy in painting in his trees, and the calmness of it, I think, is something that we generally lack in our media of any kind today, no matter where it is. So having a space like Twitch where that can live is incredible.
Very soft. Colors are very relaxing. Just make you feel good when you look at a painting like this.
When you go back to watching a Bob Ross show, it's just, it's calm, and he's taking his time, and we don't have that anymore. And you have a whole new appreciation for it now when you see it.
Were you aware that Bob Ross had this sort of following on Twitch before I approached you about this?
Nope.
I did not know. But it doesn't surprise me though, because there are so many things that pop off on this platform. And when you have someone who's as iconic as Bob Ross, it doesn't surprise me that so many people would flock to that content.
But I'm genuine when I say that I will love to watch more of these streams.
Well, in that case, let's watch more of these streams, as our old friend CRI Jessie Mason, known on the platform as Lady Galaga, welcomes us to our live painting stream of Bob's Trapper's Cabin.
And this is just a beautiful place to have a bubbling little stream. So decide where you want your little stream to live. Maybe he lives right here. Let's start right here. And there he comes. Bloop.
All right, welcome in everybody. Today we have a couple guest stars. So we have Ron from the Bob Ross podcast here, and Carla Marie Anthony from the Carla Marie Anthony Morning Show on Twitch. So welcome in everybody.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. This is going to be fun. This is going to be amazing. So I'm Lady Galaga. I'm a certified Bob Ross instructor, and we're going to be doing a fun Bob Ross type painting today. So I'll go ahead and get started here.
Now, Lady G, can I call you Lady G?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know we've talked about it on the podcast before, but the first time you did this, what was that like for you?
Like, I've been doing art all my life, but I watched Bob as a kid. Like, I mean, real young, like before I was in school and everything. And I had never tried oil painting before. And then, of course, we found Bob on Twitch on the marathons. And then I was like, you know what? I've never tried oil painting, so I did it, and I just fell in love with it.
I think it's so funny when you go back and you watch some of the old school Bob Ross, like the OG videos. I mean, he was essentially a live streamer and an ASMR type creator before we even had names for them.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about, like, imagine he had the ability to interact with his audience the way we can on Twitch and the way you can literally right now. I mean,
Exactly.
it's so different getting that with your audience.
But I also think that's why he connected so well with people, is because he spoke to you as if you were in the room with him.
Exactly.
And he almost answered your questions that you had, or gave you pep talks that you didn't know you needed through the TV.
Lady G, we talked about doing this for a few weeks now, and you had kind of carte blanche to decide what you were going to paint for us. Why this particular painting?
I think I like this one because like the sky is very different. You know, it's got the yellow and the blue in there, and we've got a couple different trees. So we have like we have my favorite trees, the happy trees, the pine trees. Those are my favorite things to paint in this method. And but also we have a cabin. I kind of like this purple, so I'm just kind of flattening it out here, and I'm gonna scrape a little roll of paint there. And then we'll go ahead and put in our little mountain.
I honestly have not watched this episode. I intentionally did not watch it because I want to be surprised as to how this is all going to turn out. But what I do know, and the only thing I do know, is that there will eventually be a cabin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We gotta keep you waiting though.
Curious where that cabin is going to wind up as I'm looking at this painting in
Left
real
side,
time.
right side? I
Hopefully
think
not
it's
in the
gonna go
middle.
on the left side. No?
In the water.
Cabin,
Oh, true.
Right, it could be a
like a houseboat.
raft cabin.
Exactly.
It's funny because when you put the water first and it went across the whole bottom, I was sitting here going, I don't know where this cabin is. How small is this cabin going to be?
I'm just putting some water lines in here. And so now we're at my favorite part, the happy trees. So I'm gonna start one right here. I'm just gonna get that started. I'll end it right there.
Now, Lady G, we touched on this during your podcast episode about the challenge of, as being a certified Ross instructor and doing this on Twitch, you know, you're interacting with people, you're peeking at the chat. I mean, you have your help there, but at the same time, there's an art to that too, right? I mean, the concentration that it would take just to paint this without any interruption
Exactly.
is an art in itself. But then to interact and engage with people on the platform while you're actually making something is, you know, can you talk about that a little bit? Is something that you had to kind of refine over the years?
Yeah, it's definitely just like anything, a lot of practice. But what's interesting is when you get your certification, they do dedicate a couple days where you do like a demo painting. So they have you go in the corner in like a group of 3, and everybody takes turns and does like a demo painting in 30 minutes and talks about the painting and everything just like that. So it is a big part of the Bob Ross experience because back in the day, Bob would do demos at local malls and everything to drum up hype. another Twitch word, hype, for classes and everything. So
I was gonna say, like we said earlier, and Bob Ross was basically doing like best practices for Twitch before anyone even knew what Twitch was.
absolutely.
What time of day do you think it is in this painting?
I
Is it
think
morning or night?
it could be sun setting, sun rising.
I would go with morning only because in my mind, I'm playing. So the lighter colors that are on the mountains, to me, that's like the morning kind of fog getting ready to like rise out of the valleys essentially, and then it'll eventually burn off to a nice summer day.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
All right, I guess we're going to go with Anthony's answer.
We're going to the morning. That's it. It's about 6:30 in the morning in this painting.
I know Bob says make up little stories in your mind when you paint the painting. So do you consider those sort of things, Lady G, when you're painting these paintings?
What I'll do a lot of times, I'll start like with like an idea, or like I'll start with a Bob and I'm like, like I like this idea, but I want to take it here. I want to do this instead. So I kind of make a place for me, because, like Bob would say, like, oh, this place is so beautiful. I'm going to put a cabin right here. I'm going to live here, which is what he does in this episode.
I did originally say that the cabin would definitely be on the left, but now there are some trees there, so I think I might have to change my mind.
All right. Speaking of cabin, we're gonna put the cabin in.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped.
It's right here. So first, we're gonna scrape out basic shape.
It almost looks like a ghost cabin before you're turning it into a real one.
Exactly. Sketch out the cabin and then fill it in. So we're just smoothing on the highlight color onto the dark there, and it just makes it kind of look like old wood there.
I know that you can say this for basically any painting that's ever been painted, but it is wild to sit here and watch this go in real time from a blank canvas to this beautiful piece in front of us.
It's and it's all because of Bob. It's like it's amazing. It really is.
Right, people were kind of flocking to something that has been in the ether for decades.
Exactly.
On this platform. What is your take on that, Lady G? Like Bob's popularity on this platform in particular, he's popular everywhere, but the fact that this, I was talking to our friend James from Jansen Media about this earlier, about how you don't see a lot of that on this platform. I mean, is there any other old show, like classic television show, that gets rewatched on Twitch besides The Joy of Painting? I don't know about.
There's like a couple, but it doesn't have like the following that Bob does, and that's because of Bob's personality. We were talking about lurkers and everything, and yeah, you can just put this on and have it on the background if you're working or if you're at home doing other things and everything. But I think that's a huge part of it.
There's also, I think, the soothing part of it, right?
Yeah.
That works so well.
Yeah.
And Twitch in general obviously had a huge spike during the pandemic, but I think people were also looking for a little bit of calm.
Absolutely.
And watching someone paint is calming. Even if you don't have the sound on, just the visual of it, to see it and focus on it and go from beginning to end is calming.
Yes.
Or vice versa. Some people just like to listen and not necessarily watch.
Exactly.
They love Bob's soothing tones.
I decided to go with a little like the corrugated roof.
Yeah.
Bob did
Talk about the color there. What color is that?
So I got alizarin crimson, and I just mixed it in with a little bit of white and Van Dyke brown just to get a nice kind of marbledy mix there. That way it's not just like one straight color. So we have a multitude of colors going on. So
I have a question about art and working with other artists. Do you think you could do a tandem painting with someone?
yeah, absolutely.
Where you almost like pass off the same canvas?
We actually do that in certification.
Really?
Yes. So we're all sitting in rows, right? And then Nick will give us like 15 minutes like on the clock, and then we'll paint as much as we can. And then it's like, 15 minutes is up. Change your seats. You get up and change seats. But it's cool, and that's what's great about being an artist in this day and age. Is there's so much art out there, and there's so much inspiration, and like I never find myself getting like artist block or writer's block already, because there's so much out there and so many people out there, and people are so willing to help and collaborate and everything. So I'm just going back and forth getting some different color bushes in here.
I always find it fascinating that it doesn't always look completely finished to me, but then you'll do these little subtle things at the end that kind of just puts the cherry on top, even though they're not major things. These highlights, the highlights on the trees, the water lines. I mean, those details really help them kind of pop,
come together, yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
The accents.
And it's like the more things are overlapping, the more planes you have in the painting. So there's more depth in everything too. So a lot of people are afraid of like layering or putting things on top, and I'm like, no, that's a good thing. It's like, I don't want to go through my mountain. But like, yeah, man, it'll push the mountain back. It'll look good, I promise.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy. I didn't realize it until you said it. It's like the mountains have moved further away from us on screen as the process has gone on.
Exactly. And that's part of the process, is working from the furthest to the closest. Exactly.
Will you sign this for us? I think we deserve a signature.
You absolutely do.
Ron, I think you were onto something. I think since the three of us are clearly responsible for this painting,
Oh God, no.
I think we should sign it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is that a feature? Can I cash in some rubles to
There you go.
virtually
There you
sign
go.
it? Like how we're all like mesmerized by this part.
I don't know.
It's never been more quiet during this conversation, except when you decide to sign your name at the end.
I know. Like,
she doesn't do it normally. She does mountains. She's like, this is like new. I feel
that's
like.
true. That's
Stare at that
true.
painting all day.
Well, thank you.
I am at peace. I do feel more serene now that this has come to a conclusion.
Seriously, thank you for having us. You're so freaking talented.
Oh,
This is incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted you all could be here and share this with me today. So thank you so much.
The old clock on the stream tells me we've got another finished podcast episode. I want to thank my guests, Carla Marie Anthony, Jessie Mason, and James Shapiro. This happy little episode was produced with help from James Shapiro at Jansen Media and mixed by Digital Sound and Video of Daytona Beach, Florida. Support your local public television station and say thanks for giving us Bob Ross and the joy of painting. We want to see your paintings. Use hashtag #PaintLikeBobRoss. Bob Ross certified instructors are the only ones that know how to teach you Bob's world-famous painting method. Don't settle for second best. Find a local CRI at bobross.com and then click Take a Class. Got your own Bob Ross story to tell? Leave us a message at 866-FANBRUSH or email us at podcast@bobross.com. And you can follow us on Instagram at @BobRoss_The Joy of Painting. I'm Ron Scalzo. The Joy of Bob Ross is written and produced by me, Ron Scalzo, in partnership with Bob Ross, Inc. Bob Ross name and images are registered trademarks of Bob Ross, Inc. Come see us in September at TwitchCon 2024 in San Diego. We'll be painting in our Bob Ross booth, plus conducting 2 big interactive paint-along sessions on Friday and Saturday. And I'll be there. Come talk to me.